Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to Ways Breakfast. Hashtag What Are You Saying? This is the table where we dish out conversations that matter with every bit of truth. They say home is where the heart is, but what happens when millions don't even have a place to call home? Recently, Minister Wike made a bold statement on housing that has sparked heated debates. Some believe he's being brutally realistic about the challenges, while others say it's an outright abdication of responsibility. So today, we ask, is this a leader telling us the hard truth or a government shifting the burden back to the people? My name is Triumph Akimboye, and I am joined by the most beautiful, insightful goodness Idea. And together we are going to unwrap this issue with you. Let's dive in. Good morning, my darling.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Are you sure?
Do you want me to open my dirty line into answer?
Are you very sure? How are you doing? How was it like getting here?
Okay, actually, right? There was an accident on the road, not with my bus. There was a big truck that collided, like double-crossed the two roads. So that was what's caused
That was
the
quite
traffic.
unfortunate. Around where?
Before you get to this Ianover bridge.
Oh. Yeah. Serious. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Anyway, so that is what we are going to be. I'm doing very fine. Today is, today has been great. I woke up early. I left my house.
I
got to
can
work
see the glow on your
early.
face.
Even though it was like, when I got to a certain point, I thought there was going to be traffic. But in no time, we hurried down here, and then I'm glad that I got here very early. So, good morning to you wherever you are. How are you doing this morning? So let us know. We're going to be going on a break right now to reflect on significant event in history. When we come back, we would look through the papers of today. Don't go anywhere. What are your thoughts on these historical milestones? I would love to hear your insight and perspective. Remember, you are the most important thing in every of our conversation, and we would love to hear your thought on this. Our phone lines are open. Please call us 0702 500 7749. If you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV, click the subscribe button now, like, and share the link. Tune into channel 145 on your Go TV and do not miss any part of this. Right now, we are going to be taking a look at what is making headlines today. We'll be checking through the pages of top newspapers. We have The Guardian and we have The Punch newspaper, and we are going to be starting with goodness for The Guardian newspaper, all right?
All right, so looking at the Guardian newspaper this morning, we have so many stories, right? Below the masthead, we have Defense Headquarters denies armed forces supporting payment of criminal groups. The story can be, if you want to guess that story, go to page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Beside it, we have federal government list 91 public firms for privatization. And next, we have Dangote Refinery exports first gasoline cargo to U.S. That's a great one to Nigeria, right, in the business industry. And the Guardian leads with Tinubu Police CPC group says revenue target meet amid data groups. And I won't go to so much taking all the stories, but looking at the baseline of the newspaper, that's the Guardian, we have court voids mandatory 15-year service requirement for soldiers. There were the National Industrial Court, NIC, in Abuja, has struck down a controversial military service rule that forces personnel to serve a minimum of 15 years, even before being allowed to resign to retire. We had a case issue that was filed by Flight Lieutenant J.A. Akerele, who accused the Nigerian Air Force of victimization after he applied to resign from service. So for this, Justice Emmanuel Sobilium, in delivering judgment yesterday, declared that the provision in the harmonized terms and conditions of service for officers of the Nigerian Armed Forces as oppressive, unconstitutional, and a violation of fundamental rights under the 1999 Constitution. So to sum it all, the court has kicked against that controversial statement of having to force or having to put forward that all armed forces personnel, specifically the Air Force, Nigerian Air Force, will have to serve a minimum of 15 years before being allowed to resign. So let's look at what we have in the Punch.
Okay, so let's take a look at what we have in the pages of the Punch newspaper. So right here in the Punch newspaper, we have on the front page, or the screaming headline there says, Wike's camp demands ignites fresh PDP feud. Makinde's camp, party governors, BOT reject FCT ministers' convention conditions, Damagun removal, and others. And to a story you would find in page 26 of the Punch News. 2025 revenue targets met. No more borrowing. This is coming from our president. And then we have another one here when you go through the page 7 of the Punch News. Again, Southwest stops as voter pre-registration hits 2.5 million. We have another one here that says tariff war. Respect state electricity regulators. Federal government wants discourse. And then another one, CNG price hits 450 naira, per SCM, as federal government withdraws subsidies. And another interesting story below the screaming headline, we see customs intercept firearms, 4,841 ammunition in Southwest. And then we see another one here that says North Assembly cautions Wike on planned CBT rollout. And a story here says 3 Lagos laborers found dead in makeshift apartments. And to the last headline, Atiku slams federal government as bandits sack Kwara village. Now, to some of the stories of interest here, the first one is custom intercept firearms, 4,841 ammunition in Southwest. We have been having these stories back and forth where we are going to be having stories like this, where they will say that, oh, they intercepted a certain number of ammunition. And the only question that I usually have in this kind of situation is that, okay, at the end of everything, this is something that always happens every time. While I commend, customs and all of that, but these firearms, everything that we are getting, I usually want to wonder and ask questions like, oh, what do they use all these things? Where do they divert all these things that they are able to intercept to? And usually, why is it that we just hear that they intercepted? They don't actually tell us that this is the person that they intercepted it from. Let us know these people and let us know, the judgment that was given to them. I'm not just saying that, okay, we intercepted. Who are the people that you intercept? Who are the people responsible? Get down or get to the bottom of this story. What if you just intercepted these people? What if you just maybe throw them into cell, into prison? What if the person that is in charge of them is still out in the open? That means you're still going to intercept the very same person that is going to, get the next time. because he's going to employ some other set of people if those other set of people are not going to work. So I just keep wondering that whenever customs come out to say that they intercepted certain people, who are these people? Who is the person behind them? Let us get into the root of the matter and don't just be giving us, the figures of the things that...
I feel they will do that as for them to have, confiscate what those firearms and the bullets. So I'm sure that they will have to face the penalty concerning that.
But what I'm saying is that the story is not always loud as... You're always seeing it in the headline that, they intercepted. But you will never see the fact that this is the person, or these are the people, or this is the person that sent these people on an errand. You never see all those things.
How do you think they will want to put that out of those that sent them on an errand?
The matter so that we can know. So how do we actually curb it? Because this is my own pain. That means you are still going to intercept another one tomorrow. That means this interception is not going to end.
There's always an Oga at the top when such things happen. Because they can't just, those certain numbers of people that were caught with the firearms can't just go ahead to get that. There are some people, or there's a place where they are getting the supplies from, right? At the same time, there's someone that is like their leader. Not even like that is their leader. And that wouldn't want to be exposed to the public.
That wouldn't want to be exposed to the public. So that means are we trying to say that we are beginning to entertain, accommodate crime?
We have a whole lot
Not that we are even beginning. I mean, there's a whole lot to talk about when it comes to, the way we treat things, certain things. Okay, another story of, of interest is the story on Wike's, according, the convention. Wike's camp demands ignites fresh PDP feud. Now, in the story, it is saying that governors elected on the platform of the PDP, they mentioned all of them. They are saying that, the convention is going to hold despite the conditions set by the FCT minister. This back and forth of these parties is something that, I was looking through the front page of the Punch News and even the Guardian newspaper that you read, and I realized that we are now beginning to have more of political stories, like political stories only in the front page. And I'm like, okay, please wait, what's going on? Is it that this is the only thing that we are going to be talking about in this season? It's not even 2027 yet, and we are already having this number of back and forth between the parties. And meanwhile, we are still going to talk about one of the things that Wike mentioned. That's what we are going to be talking about today. So let us now talk about the one that, caught my attention the most. 2025 revenue targets met. Okay. No more borrowing. This is coming from our president. Now, what our president is saying, according to what he said in Abuja, yesterday, he said that Nigeria had met its revenue target for 2025 ahead of schedule and would no longer rely on borrowing to fund its budgets. This was while he was addressing stakeholders. He said his administration's non-oil revenue drive had yielded enough to meet this year's projections by August, reducing Nigeria's dependence on external loans. In his statement, he said, "Today, I can stand here before you to brag. Nigeria is not borrowing. We have met our revenue target for the year, and we met it in August." While this is a very, very commendable one, because now I'm thinking that, does that mean that, in the remaining years, in the remaining months to come, we are not going to be borrowing? Is that actually going to happen? Did you see that happening?
I've always said that I believe in his administrations. You've been flagging me behind, right?
No, I don't flag you behind. I mean, our president is an amazing man, right?
If you look at, fine, I know you might have done a lot of things, right? Some said, of course, no one is perfect. But from the things I've read about his previous administration, not as a president now, right? He did well that, to some extent, we had a lot of people that recognized his effort and even appreciated. Personally, my siblings benefited while he was in governance, right? And so I feel that it's just a matter of time, because Somebody can't just be a president of Nigeria and within a year or even two, you're expecting everything to balance.
In a country
Something
where
that
it
has
was not
been,
balanced before.
sure you get. So it's going to take a whole lot of toll. It could even include sufferance. Let's be truthful, right? Like some certain numbers of people in the country will have to bear the brunt of it, right? So the thing is, it's not easy. So for him to have even make mention of this statement that Nigeria is not going to borrow, it's kudos to him. And not even
It's
just
a
that.
bold statement.
Yeah. Even the Naira is appreciated.
Yes, according to what,
From
I was seeing what you're saying.
1,900 Naira per dollar, it has now appreciated to 1,450 per dollar.
Which is
So
commendable.
it's a good one. It's a good move. So I'm still believing in him. That come next year, things at least will be a little bit, much better.
Okay, thank you so much to our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. All right, that is where we are going to call it a wrap for the headlines for this morning. Right now, we are going to be going on a very short break, and when we return, we are going to be getting into our hot topic for this morning. You don't want to go anywhere. We will be right back. Please stay with us.
I describe myself as a polyhumanitarian, someone who believes politics should be rooted in love for country and empathy for its people. I'm thrilled to introduce to you Politics Uncensored, a show dedicated to tackling the political challenges that matter most to Nigerians. This is more than just a show. It's a space for honest, unfiltered conversations about the issues that shape our nation. From policy reforms to elections, leadership tussles to governance at all levels, and the overall political landscape in Nigeria. We will dive deep into how politics is impacting our everyday lives. So join me on this journey as we challenge the status quo, spark dialogue, and work together to build a brighter future for Nigeria. Let's make our voices heard and drive the change we deserve.
Welcome back, our dearest viewers. Now it is time for us to get into our hot topic for this morning. And the topic, for this morning, we are going to be looking into Wike's statement as regards shelter from the government. All right, so this recent remarks by Minister Wike on housing have sparked mixed reactions across the country, speaking on the challenges of providing adequate shelter for Nigerians. Wike has emphasized that government cannot carry the burden alone, suggesting that the role of private developers, financial institutions, and even individuals must be central to solving Nigeria's housing crisis. Supporters of this view argue that Wike is being realistic, with Nigeria's population surging past 200 million and millions of people in need of affordable housing. The government's resources alone cannot keep pace. They insist that what the government should prioritize is creating policies, incentives, and partnerships that will enable the private sector to thrive, while also making home ownership more accessible. Now, on the flip side, people have seen that Wike's statement as a troubling abdication of responsibility, right? For them, housing is not a luxury, but a fundamental human need, one which government is duty-bound to address. In a country where, the rent prices are skyrocketing, slums are expanding, and urban planning is weak, many believe that passing the buck to individuals and private players is not just unfair, but dangerous for social stability. Now, this is where the old thing lingers. Is Wike's approach to pragmatic acceptance of Nigeria's realities, or a sign that the government is washing its hands of one of its most important responsibilities? And this is what we are going to be looking at today. Now, this topic is quite interesting to me because I actually listened to what Governor what Wike was saying. And he was saying how that, he said it in his words, he said, the government cannot provide shelter for everybody. So, first, what do you even think about the whole sentence of his, in one word, before we start opening up the questions?
That's in a way true. But I feel that it could also be like a long-term project or a long-term goal for the government in the country. It might not really, probably because of some certain cities, right, have smaller space compared to the northern areas. So if that could even be achievable, probably some citizens might have to, migrate to the northern part. So that's just it, because we have issues concerning most of all these people from the rural area coming to the urban cities like Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja. And since even on the map, they have a smaller space, so really, it might not be feasible. But at the same time, it could be a long-term goal that we can achieve because, okay, I don't want to go further, but just to hint, there is a country that tried to do that, to get to that state. That's Switzerland, right? They were able to, I wouldn't want to say 100%, but probably like 80 to 90% provide shelter. But that was during when they had chaos in the country, like against probably like a Cold War, like a protection area for their citizens. So if that could be feasible, so it's something that we can, I feel a country can work on in getting that.
Okay, so I have a view on this, and that was like the first view I had, when I saw it, and that is the fact that sometimes, I mean, what you said made a lot of sense. What you just said made a lot of sense. I agree. However, I am actually thinking about the fact that if we are saying that the government should provide shelter for everyone, in the long term, it might be visible, if we are not having to deal with the fact that we are saying maybe we will borrow in August, we will not borrow in August. But to look at the current state that we are in, the next level plans, the next set of projects, I don't think that providing shelter for everyone in the country is one of the things that should be the immediate focus. I mean, it makes a whole lot of sense after a while, but I feel like there's some projects that needs more pressing attention. For example, when we talk about the healthcare, let them rather divert that fund to maybe the healthcare sector, that people can afford certain things that even people in this rural area that we are talking about. Some people see, I prefer staying in my house, in my home, than sometimes going to maybe a luxury 5-star hotel. You know that thing that even if you go and stay in an hotel for a while, you're like, please, I want to go back home. So people might still prefer their place of abode. But when it comes to some other things about them, some people don't have access to education yet. Some people don't. I mean, the shelter that the government is going to provide for us, what is it going to look like?
Now, let me comment there. Concerning that shelter stuff, right? In a way, if you look at it in another way, it might not really be a structure, right? Providing like a physical structure for every citizen. There are different ways. For me, I feel there are different ways you could provide shelter for the people. When it comes to the word shelter, okay, we're looking at basically housing, right? It's going to affect different areas, different sectors in the country. So talking about the economic, the social, right? So providing a shelter and housing for citizens could also mean breaking barriers in terms of more provision of job employment, right? Regulating house pricing. For instance, we talked about it a few weeks ago concerning the Lagos state government, right? Trying to regulate houses prices between the landlord and tenant, right? This tenancy agreement. So if this area could be looked upon where there's a particular fair price for
some particular areas.
Generally, yes, since the motive is how can they provide housing for every citizen. So if this housing, this landlords, this tenants, right, if the government can, just like at times we usually have regulation of prices in terms of the market, right, where you see this particular fuel station is selling fuel at so price, there's at least the government has tried to regulate prices to be on almost the same terrain. So if this could also be taken into the estate area where different houses or generally landlord, there should be a law, right, or a policy that says, okay, for probably per month, right, or in a year annually, there should be like a very drastically low amount where every citizen will have to pay.
Maybe like an average amount.
Yes, pay for it for housing, right? Then in provision of that, you provide job employment for everyone. Even those sleeping under the bridges, right? Gather them. I'm not saying that you should throw them into the cell, right? I feel that if there is enough job employment, even though, okay, let's say that you're paying them 80,000, at least they are working and they are earning that per month, and they can get a house, for instance, probably annually.
Do you know how much
Wait now, annually for it. That's what I'm saying. That I know how the prices of houses is expensive. What I'm saying is, if there's a policy like that, and the policy is being taken strictly, right? It's being taken strictly with all those landlords and everything. I think it's going to work. Let them provide more job, even though it's going here. 75,000, the minimum wage. How much is the minimum wage? Or let's just say 80,000. So even the least educated person in the country, right? And the houses there, if you want to rent probably a one-room apartment, you're paying annually, let's say you're paying like 100,000. It's possible. So the housing in aspect might not really necessarily mean building a structure. It could mean creating a way for them to live well. That's what they call shelter, right? You provide shelter, provide good...
A means.
Yes, a means for them. Provide a job opportunity for them, everyone. Then ensure that the houses around that people have built, let it be that, okay, there's a particular price, a tagged price for everyone, whether you're in Lagos, whether you're in...
Can that really happen? Because when we are talking about all these things, we need to look into the fact that it is not only the government that determines the state of housing. For example, like, it is not only the government, the private stakeholders too are there. The people who have staked their money, who have staked everything.
To build houses.
Now, when I got to Lagos, I realized that there is a different way they do things here. Really, really different way. I mean, the amount you are paying to the agents that helped you to look for the house is way more than...
That's what I'm still saying.
I mean, when it comes to regulation, I think that those people are even, all this percentage different. You were talking about...
It's because the
maybe your
government is not fully involved in regulating or taking it as a serious project. When they do that, they can actually conquer that. I feel that is totally possible because we do census, right, in the country. We know from census, you get to know how many number of people is living in a particular state. And if you are getting to know how many number of people live in a particular state, you go to their houses. So you can't tell me that you don't know. In short, it's possible of you getting how many number of houses are in a particular state. If truly if truly the officials carrying out the census is really doing their job of getting the total number of citizens in Nigeria, then you can get how many number of houses in a particular state. So it's really possible. I've seen some places where even some people are building their houses secretly with substandard materials, and you still find government officials. They get there and lock the house. So it's possible for them to know how many number of houses that they can use it to track. Okay, ask the tenant there or concern, or there should even be a law binding them. For instance, this estate, we had somebody that came doing our interview. They're talking about estate people. Like there was an association together, right? So they could also do something like that. If you want to rent an apartment, there is this body, right? You apply and you get the apartment directly, but there's still some probably like a documentation you need to do, right, to document it. And from there, you'll be able, the government official will be able to know, okay, how much were they charged and everything. So I feel it's something that can be, that is a workable solution.
So should we now say that, housing should be considered a basic human right, or it should be a personal responsibility?
It's a basic human right. For a country, you need to provide shelter for your citizens.
But are we actually seeing these things happening? I mean, aside the fact that, we already talked about, we both agreed on one part, which is the fact that if people are able to afford some other things, they might be able to focus on some other things. We mentioned, healthcare, we mentioned the provision of jobs, we mentioned, education and all of that. But when it comes to, like, housing, like, having a house,
having a home to stay,
where to rest your head, should it be a basic human right, or should it be a personal responsibility?
For me, it should be a basic human right, because you're talking about this healthcare sector and education. If I don't have a place to go and lay my head, even during the rain comes sunshine, and you're giving me providing good healthcare sector, right? Once I get to where will I go to? Go back under the bridge, sun, rain, and I'll still fall sick. That means I'll still have to come back. Then we are rigmaroling, turning around. But if we provide the basic need, every human basic need is shelter, food, and water. That's it. So if you provide an housing for me, necessarily not being a structure, but a means of me affording it, right, by putting some things I've said into places, I'll be head and heady now. Is it not somebody that is... There's some people, not that maybe or probably they have an illness, but it will be as a result of depression. Why? They don't have where to lay their heads, and they don't have shelter. They don't have where they call or where they can go to and say, oh, I'm going home.
So let me be very realistic. Like, let me be straight. I think that the housing crisis, the government alone cannot solve it. The Nigerian government, let me say it like that. I mean, the Nigerian government, the state of the present-day Nigerian government we have, cannot solve housing crisis alone. What have we been able to, those one it doesn't look like I'm going, for the Nigerian government. But can you say the things that the Nigerian government, they have so many things. But when it comes down to the basic things that, humans need, you mentioned water, you mentioned food, you mentioned food,
and shelter.
You mentioned shelter. Have you realized that it is these basic things that has been like the problem, the major problem why citizens are always complaining? And this has been since time memorial. So are we not going to be kidding ourselves if we are now saying that, okay, it is now going to happen? Now I am talking about the state of the Nigerian government. I am not talking about the state of the US government or China government. Is it two different things, or the Japan government? Now I'm talking about the state of the Nigerian government, because I think that whenever we are trying to, let us actually nip the problem in the bud. I mean, some people will... See, I got to Lagos and the way I feel for humanity became intense. I literally see people, lots of people sleeping under the bridge. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. I mean, even if the government come out and say that, oh, we are going to open maybe some apartments for all of you.
They can't even do that. That's what I'm still saying. They can't do that. The only thing is providing means. And there are several ways of them providing means. And it's not that, yes, you said that the government cannot provide.
So that means that we are agreeing that the government cannot take care of housing crisis alone. What I'm saying is that, I mean, all these other things that you are saying, they will do it. They're supposed to do it. They've not even been able to figure it out. So are we now admitting that they cannot take care of the housing alone? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. I mean, the jobs, like you said, we mentioned the jobs, we mentioned everything that they should provide. This is something that we're always coming out to say, that they should make it affordable. They should make some things affordable for people. They should make education free for certain people certain persons that cannot afford it.
Not even certain persons that can afford it. There are some countries, a lot of countries, that education is free. Go to Germany, education is free there. We have other countries.
You know, we have all those things. But now I'm talking about like housing crisis. Do you think, let us just get that straight and then we go on a break. Do you think the government alone can sort it?
The government alone cannot sort it, but they can improve on it and provide shelter for their people.
They can improve on it. Thank you. So let us go on a very short break right now. Once we return, we are going to continue our conversation. And when we return, we are going to be looking into the things that the citizens of Nigeria have actually said as regards what Nyesom Wike spoke about. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is the Ways Breakfast Show right here at Upgrade TV. So today we are looking at what Nyesom Wike has come out to say. He says the government alone, or the government cannot provide shelter for everyone. And we have been trying to look into, the different sides to it. Do we actually think that what he said is actually true when we look at certain sides of it, certain standard of it, or certain sectors to it? Do we think that it is actually true? And that is what we have been discussing together. Now we are back, and what we want to discuss right now is, let us even look into, so it is not just us that we are saying that the government this, the citizens that. Let us look into what people are actually talking and complaining about as regards these statements. Now I am going to be reading some of the, some of the responses of Nigerians to what Nyesom Wike said. Now, the first thing that I'm going to be reading, this person said, who said that no government can provide housing for all? China, with over 1.4 billion people, governments provided housing for them. USA, the same thing. You can say you can actually afford to live in a house in those places so long you agree to work and live a decent life. I mean, this person is not, I'm sure this person is just he's a Nigerian that is not in Nigeria. It is the duty of the government to provide housing for the citizens, but no government in Nigeria has ever built a house for the citizens, which I do not agree to. I do not agree to that part of his statement. And then he says that Wike was building houses for judges and legislators that already have houses. What a country. What do you have to say to this person first? But let me also state that you know, this, so I'm not going to agree that the government has never built houses for the citizens. They're not paying me, right? But let us say the truth. I mean, while I was growing up, we have different things. We have federal government staffs. We have, you know, state government staffs. We have, you know, all those things. There are some of these places that where you work, they provide housing for you. Or am I the only one that's, you know, seen these things before? They provide housing where you can stay. They provide where you can stay. I mean, when I attended federal government college in Ilorin, as long as you are a federal, what's it called, federal government staff, you get to live in a place. You have a place, even with your family or your family members. They can come, even if whether you're the woman that is the staff or is the man that is the staff, whatever, you can come with you.
It doesn't apply to all, right?
Yeah, it doesn't apply to all.
It's basically for
but not him saying that it has never happened before.
So it's like for this associate professors and professors.
No, go to, like, when I mean federal government, I'm talking about federal government college.
Okay,
the teachers, just the teachers. They can, I mean, the universities, you have that. The lecturers, I'm even saying that federal government, like a college, a secondary school.
One, so I can't really say. But when it
comes
to
you went to a private school, right? Not like, no.
I didn't go to a private school. I went to a government school. I made mention of it yesterday. I went to Shimulu Senior High School. So I really, but for there, when I was attending the school, my teachers were not staying in any government houses.
It might not be everywhere, but me, I'm just trying to say this person that it has happened
But
before.
the one I know of is the one in the university, yes. But not all
Staff
the old
quarters.
lecturers. Yes, they call it staff quarters, but not all the old lecturers. I think they give priority to doctors that have spent some years, associate professors, we get, and like that in the higher kind of the academic school environment. So for that aspect of he's saying the government has never provided houses for people, it's totally not true. Probably it's coming from the point of, will I use the civil servants, but not all, because obviously the government can't provide houses for all the civil servants in the country. My dad was a civil servant. The government never provided house for him. So you get. So probably his own side of you is in that sense or in that light. But saying that outrightly is totally not true. I think I had a couple of friends that are in the Air Force, right? And their spouse in the they have the higher position in the Air Force base there, and they provided accommodation for them. Yeah, and even to some that are not even being provided to, they usually give them, I think they probably half or housing allowance or so.
Now, do we even realize that even this China, even this US that this person is mentioning, it's not like they provide free housing for all their citizens, or they provide housing for them, but they just have, you know, for example, I said US government is different from Nigerian government. I mean, the gap is wide. No, the gap is wide, right? So we cannot always be comparing. So even though we are not comparing, but we need to also look at them to actually see some expectations from some demands from our own Nigerian government. Now, the person was mentioning, you know, Chinese government, and somebody here, you know, another citizen of Nigeria, is saying that, no, the Chinese government does not provide housing for all its citizens, but it does operate a system of affordable public housing and subsidies for low and middle-income families. So this is something that Nigerians could implement, not for everybody. For example, if you can afford the house, go and buy your house. If you can rent a house, go and rent a house. But rather for the people that they cannot afford. I just mentioned that, you know, do you know the number of people that sleep under the bridges in Lagos State? Yeah. So I think, so let's even go on. Let's even conclude with what he's saying. He said that middle-income families, including young people and new urban residents. While housing was once a welfare system, China transitioned to a commercial housing market in 1998, which has significantly improved living conditions for many, but also created affordability issue. The government now works with local authorities to ensure access to affordable options through rental programs, housing subsidies, and shared ownership.
That's why I said
schemes.
That what I made mention of, regulating that can actually work in the country.
If, for example, if they can do this, whereby we have rental programs. Rental programs. Do you know that when I started as a presenter, sometimes I get to work in different sectors as a presenter. So I have worked, you know, in the real estate sector, you know, as a presenter, and I actually learned the fact that rent is not supposed to be like a 1 year. Is the meaning to rent is not like
monthly.
1 year. It's something that should be like monthly, like the payment should come in monthly, right? So he is saying that we can have a system for the low and middle income, because let's even talk about the gap between the poor and rich. You know, somebody will always say that even in Nigeria, even right here in Lagos, the gap between the poor and the rich is a whole lot. They should be able to put these programs in place to even take these people out of the bridge, out of under the bridge, out of, you know, sleeping in the streets, out of some very, very terrible
So you can say
states.
that now housing is a basic amenity, even from what you
Yes,
read
it's
in
a
the
basic.
China.
I mean, I agree
Okay.
to the fact that it's a basic amenity, but it is still the same thing that I am saying about the fact that the government cannot. What was that word I used? The government cannot
alone.
do
Okay.
it. You know, take care of the housing crisis alone. I mean, from what I read now, there is nothing like even maybe giving it free, but subsidized for them so they can afford it. And for the people that can afford it, they don't join these kind of programs. But we have come to a Nigeria where the government put out a program in place. They will roll out the money for it. By the time it is getting to the end, it becomes a problem.
Because, you know, Nigeria have been, will I use the word battling or crawling with corruption, innate corruption in them. I don't know. Some people will say man was built with creativity innately. I think part of me to say this, for Nigerians, some Nigerians, not all, are built with corruptions innately. That it's in their DNA. They can't do without, you know, indulging in corrupt practices. And that's why we keep on having this lacuna in such areas in different sectors in the country. That's
You know,
just it.
one of the things I saw here is that somebody said that somebody actually, you know, insulted Nyetom Wike for the statements he made. I mean, a lot of quite a number of people, you know, coming out to insult him and saying all those things. But he made a point.
But he
which we
didn't
agree to.
add it alone. He said no government can provide housing.
For all. He said
And for all
all.
citizens.
I thought we've agreed on this table that for all citizens.
If you subsidize, you provide, you put out rentals, you regulate prices, it's going to touch everybody, not just some specific number of people.
The subsidies
So I'm
that
not
they
even-
are
I'm
rolling
not
out,
even-
do you know that, okay, they are putting subsidies, but that still means that you
I'm
are
not
going to
even
be
waiting.
able to, you
I'm
will
not
pay
even
to an
talking about
extent.
subsidy now, because even our president have removed subsidy, right? Subsidizing things. I'm even talking about that regulation of prices.
Programs, rental
right?
programs.
Yes, regulation of rental prices in the country. And also providing job employment, even though they are not earning 200. Let's say they are earning 80,000 naira.
I mean,
right?
80,000 naira cannot get
It's
a proper
very
house
small.
in
That's what I'm
Lagos.
saying. That if you could regulate the prices, like I gave an instance, let's say 1-bedroom flat for a year, right, is probably like 90,000, 100,000
Do you know what 90,000 naira bedroom flat will look like in Lagos?
in a year.
Hey!
You are using Lagos. No, I'm not using Lagos only as yardstick,
It
because
could happen
we are
in
talking
other
about, we are
places.
saying the country,
Right,
right?
it could even happen
We are
in
talking about the
other places.
country.
But they
So
might need to increase the one
generally,
for Lagos
so
State.
if the government can ensure strict adherence to regulating prices everywhere across the state, it go touch everybody now.
It could touch everybody. That's the same thing we are saying. But it is
So
not still the government solely. The citizens who are still paying
What
for
he should
it.
have said, well, probably should have just added probably a little word. He said that no government can provide housing for all
the
citizens.
citizens.
Housing for all.
Shelter for
Rather,
all
you
the
should have said
citizens.
a loan. If you have probably added a loan, it's going to be understandable that, okay, yes, a loan, no government. Obviously, government. See, a country is built not just on government alone, right? But the government and the people. A government and the people make up a society, right? And together, they bring what? Progress. So the government cannot be working alone and the citizens are idle. No. It has to be like a collaboration between the two. Establish some policies that will benefit the citizens and create that space, that avenue for them to probably have better job employment, regulating prices of different such, right? And the citizens will do. Obviously, if you provide employment, is it the government that work for you? Is the citizen that work now? After they said, a lazy man that does not work will not eat, right? So if it provides employment, the government provides employment, regulates prices. The citizens on their own part, Nigerians are not lazy. There are some people I know of that they do menial works. Some people, we have some certain people that will go to people's houses to clean their compound, to wash their clothes, to get money. So Nigerians are not lazy. If it provides more job employment and regulate, that is actually very important in Nigeria, regulation of prices, so important. So if you can do that, at least it's going to circulate around, not just a specific set of people. Everybody will feel the impact in one way.
Okay, so I take that as, you know, your conclusion. Or is there still, do you still have more words for the government?
So for me, yes, from what you said, governments cannot provide housing alone. Not that maybe they can't provide housing. They can provide housing alone because they also need the input of the citizens. So both of them have to work hand in hand to achieve a desired goal. So not that government can't just provide housing. They can provide a way, a means. And the citizens will take advantage of that means to get what they want.
All right, thank you so much, Goodness Idea. It was actually great doing this with you. As we wrap up this conversation, one truth stands out. Housing is more than just walls and a roof. It is dignity, it is security, it is very important, and it is the foundation for any thriving society. Yes, government alone cannot shoulder the weight of Nigeria's housing deficit. But at the same time, leadership means responsibility. The people expect more than rhetoric. They expect vision, policies that work, and partnerships that put homes within reach of the ordinary Nigerian. So whether you see Wike statements as a dose of realism or as abdication of duty, one thing is clear: the housing question cannot be ignored, because at the end of the day, a nation where millions sleep without shelter is a nation still searching for its promise. So, thank you so much for joining. Do ensure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and most importantly, follow us on all our social media platforms. Remember to like, share, comment, and invite your friends and family to watch us and follow us. Have a great day ahead. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.